glad you're here. So thank you everyone for joining us for this session with Angela Meek, which is 6 tips in 60 minutes. And that's not much time. So I'm going to turn things over to you right away, Angela. Thank you so much.
So this is 6 tools in 60 minutes. So this is definitely going to be a whirlwind of like, here's these cool things. And then if you are interested in a more in-depth of how to use the cool things, I was going to suggest maybe just emailing the CTL or Marlo to say, I want to know more about whatever tool that Angela talked about. And then we can set up a separate session for that, if that would be doable. What are your thoughts on that? Would that work, Marlo?
Yeah, that's a great idea, because we can definitely put something in the spring calendar for a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Make sure I have all my goodies up here. Let's see the chat window, just in case anybody jumps in there and asks a question. Get all my Zoom things out of the way. Alrighty, so very quickly, these are the tools we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with some Canvas built-ins, as I call them. We're going to look at the roll call attendance tool, the student annotation assignments, and the appointment scheduler. And then we're going to look at some embeddables. So we're going to look at how you can use Qualtrics surveys and embed them right inside of a page in Canvas. We'll look at a tool called Pearltrees and then one called Thinglink. And I'll be sure to share out this presentation. I'm not going to bore you to death with slideshows. I made some little follow-up slides for the perks and quirks of each of these tools we're going to be talking about, and I'll share that out afterward. So let's just jump right into Canvas, and we're going to start with the roll call attendance tool. This is something you can use if you teach face-to-face or hybrid to very quickly and easily take attendance in your class every day. And it just creates a gradebook column, so you can assign points to that, or you can choose not to assign points if you want. So starting out, to get this tool into your course menu, you need to start out by going into your course settings at the bottom left here. And then you'll need to go to your navigation tab and find the attendance tool in this big long list of stuff down at the bottom here. So you'll just drag and drop to bring it up. And it is called attendance in this area. The tool is called roll call once you get into it, but the label that goes into your course menu, it'll say attendance. Then make sure you scroll down and save, and that will make the tool available to you. Now, this is one of those tools in Canvas that you can see as the instructor, but the students will not see this tool in their course menu. So it appears to be visible, but it really is not. Then when we fire this guy up, it's thinking. It's really thinking hard today. I wonder if there's a lot of people on the internet today. And we're in a Zoom session. There we go. We get this little roll call tool, and it'll show you a list of every student in the class. And to get started, if everyone is there, you can just click this mark all as present, and it will mark everybody as present. Or you can unmark everyone. And there are some other options under more here. But really quick, let's just kind of work from left to right. This is telling me which class I'm in. And then over here, I can be in list view or class view. This is kind of cool because you can develop a seating chart. I don't know how relevant that is for the college level, but in K-12, if you wanted to create a seating chart to help you remember your students' names, you can drag and drop the students on here. And if students have uploaded a profile picture, it actually puts their picture in here with them. And you can make that a little bit bigger. So if you're like me, you're like, I can't see that, that's tiny. So you can make a little seating chart if you are so inclined. Or the list view is where you're going to actually do the attendance taking. Over here on the right, you can pick which day of the week you're on, or you can click on the calendar. So maybe you forgot to take attendance last Friday. You can jump back to last Friday and do your attendance really quick there. Jump back to today here. There are a few very limited settings that you can do with this tool. In the gear drop down, you can access the settings. And here you can decide if you want the actual grade column to count towards your final grade or not. So you can check that if you don't want it to count. By default, it's unchecked, so it is going to create a gradebook column that will be added to your total. And how that works is by default, it just assigns 100 points to the column. And then it's just based on the number of times you take attendance. So if you take attendance 10 times out of the semester, then each time is worth 10 points or 10%, and so on. So it just adjusts automatically based on percentages. And then you can mark students as late and decide what % of a present that would be worth. So maybe they only get 8 out of 10 points for being late in class, or 75 or 50 or whatever. So you can use this little slider to decide how many points they would get for being late to class. Under the More button here, there are a couple of other things you can do with the attendance. Now, if you just click on the circle, it will cycle through the different attendance options. So the first one, green check, is there here, red check is there, absent, and then the little clock is this person was late or this is not marked at all. Under the More, you can do the same thing. It's just kind of a bigger area here. I can mark this person as present, absent, whatever. And then they have this feature that's called Add a Badge. This is only something that's visible to you. So this would be for taking notes or, some other kind of record keeping that you might want to have. You can add little badges. Here I've created a badge that's called Active Participant. And if Samantha was particularly talkative in class, I could make a note that she was actively participating today. I could add another badge and I could say, this student was disruptive. This is going to be a thumbs down icon. It's going to be red. And I can save that badge too. Is it thinking? There we go. Oop, I saved it twice. So then let's say student 1 was present today, but they were being super disruptive. I could mark them as disruptive. And again, that's only for the instructor to see. So that's just for your own personal note taking. The other thing I like about this tool is you can export an attendance report. So at the end of the semester, or maybe at midterms or something like that, you need to know who was where when. You can come up to your settings gear, say attendance report. It will let you pick your start and end dates. So let's just say for the month of October, I need to know who was in class. You can, if you know the student's ID, you can filter it by individual student. Otherwise, it's just going to create a spreadsheet with everybody, and it will email that to you. There you go. Boop. It should be arriving in your inbox shortly. And I'll show you really quick what that looks like. I already sent myself one. My computer's just kind of being pokey today because it knows I'm performing. Come on, little guy, open up. You'll get an email in your inbox that's good for 24 hours. So you have to get in there and download the report. And then it is literally just a spreadsheet. So it will show you the students' names, the date, and whether you mark them absent, present, or late. And it's just a list that goes down. So if I had selected multiple dates, then it would just dates over and the names over and the attendance all over. Alrighty. That is the speed overview of the attendance roll call tool. Any questions on that? That's available in any class. Yeah, don't see anything in the chat. No hands being raised. We will move right along. Some of these other ones might take more, so I'm going to gobble up some of the time from that tool. Next up in my list is the Student Annotation Assignments. These are really cool. What this assignment type lets you do is upload a document, and then every student gets a copy of that document, and they can use the Canvas annotation tools to mark it up. So for example, I go to my assignments page. I have made one of these, and what I gave my students is I'm in the wrong class, hang on, let me jump over here, get to the right class. I made this student annotation assignment. You create them just like you would create any other assignment. So you go to your assignments page, make a new assignment, go into the settings. And in this one, I'm going to upload a document that has a bunch of citation errors, and I'm telling them in the instructions, I want them to use the markup tools to indicate the incorrect information and other errors that are on this document. So it's worth 10 points. So again, it looks just like any other assignment. It has to be an online submission type. Otherwise, you won't see the student annotation option. So if I were to change it to no submission or paper, you'll see I can't pick it because they are going to be, they don't even have to download it. It actually all happens inside of Canvas, which is what I really like. There's no downloading, opening, resaving, resubmitting, blah, blah, blah. They just get to do it right inside the course. So this is a student annotation. I've already uploaded my file. Otherwise, I would say browse file to find my source document. And then you can do all of your standard assignments settings, due date, all that good stuff. And what that looks like to the students when they access it is this. They will click on the assignment title, and then they will see, here's the APA document that I uploaded. So, okay, let me see if I can identify some errors here. I can use the highlighter tool and say, this should have the year, or I can use the point tool and say something like replace with 1989. So they're able to use this nice little annotation feature to mark all over this thing. And then when they submit it, say they didn't have to download it, they didn't have to re-upload it, it's just there, boom, and now it's submitted. You can do all sorts of really cool things with this. I'm actually glad that I have nurses in the audience, because one of my first thoughts was like, you could upload diagrams of body parts and have them use the annotation tool to label those. So if I make a new one here, we'll go through the whole process. This is my label the heart. There we go. Ooh, blood flow. Okay, so here I've got this. I'm going to tell it it's a student annotation assignment here. It's already selected. If I have a file already in my course that I want to use, I can do that, or I can upload a new file. And what I've done here is you can upload any file type, but with an image, I recommend putting it into a Word document first. You can upload a straight image, but the system just seems to load more quickly if you put it into a Word document or you do it as a PDF. So I have made a little heart document with my picture that I dropped in there. I'm going to add that to this assignment. I would set all my other settings, save and publish. Again, in the student view, the student's just going to click on the title of the assignment and they get the diagram right away. So instructions at the top, label the heart, draw the arrows to show blood flow. So here I could, obviously I would not want to give them one that already had arrows, but here I am just drawing on it. Then I can use my point tool to click on each one of these little things and say, ooh, aorta, right? Racking my elementary / junior high knowledge brain here. Nurses in the audience can correct me. Let's see, is this the superior vena cava or the inferior? We'll just call it the, I don't know which one it is. But anyway, you get the idea. So students can come in here and label these things and submit them. And then when you go to grade this thing, you would open up your speed grader and you will see the annotations. When you click on the annotation, it shows you the nice little dotted line of where this is pointing to, and you can even reply directly on here with the correct answer if they've made a mistake, or give them some nice little feedback, plus your standard comments, and then of course all your grading on the right-hand side. So this is a really nice, cool new assignment type that they just released, I think at the start of this semester. Lots of ideas already like brewing in my brain, and I can hear you thinking in the audience of cool ways you could use this.
Angela, I have a question.
Yes, question.
So when the student marks it up, you probably said it and I missed it. Then when I go back to grade it, how do they, I guess I use the same markings?
Yes, you can. So if I was to grade this, I'm going to go to my label the heart assignment, and I'm going to access speed grader so that I can see everybody's submissions.
Mhm.
So here for the test student, you're going to see their annotations. And then if you wanted to make your own, you could either click into it and reply.
Okay, got it. That's the piece my question
Yeah,
was.
so you can
Okay.
reply to them if they got it wrong, or if they forgot to label something, you could come in and, you know, click on something and it's going to mark it with your name versus the student's name. So they'll be able to easily see whose comments are whose. And
Okay, thank you.
yeah, it's all very cool and interactive. And you could have this have multiple submissions, so they could, you know, they could submit it over and over again as a little study guide situation, or it could be a one and done kind of assignment. Or you could let them make corrections. You just tell them which ones are wrong and they have to go back and figure it out. So lots of cool options with the student annotation assignment. And very easy to create. Any other questions on student annotations? I have to look over there to see the chat, but the camera's over here. So, oh yeah, reading a poem, somebody said.
Angela,
Mhm.
I had wanted to ask, when you click on your assignments link and the roll call thing shows up.
Oh
can you
yeah.
go- Can you go to student view so I can see? Because I feel like I've used this before and the students were sending me emails.
Yes, so the students will see the roll call assignments because that's how Canvas makes gradebook columns. It has to create them as assignments. One of the things, I mean, you really the only way to keep them from seeing that would be to hide your entire assignments page, which some people do, some people don't. I also forgot to mention, because I was really trying to get through it, if you want to change the point value, it's going to create the column the first time you take attendance, and then you can come into this assignment and you can edit the assignment settings here in the upper right. But the only thing you should change in the settings at this point is the point value. And once you scale it up, the system does not like it if you try to then bring it back down. It gets confused. So kind of you need to know ahead of time what you want to do with this thing. Then let's say I wanted it to be worth 1,000 or whatever, it will sort of rescore things, but sometimes it acts kind of goofy if you try to go back and forth a bunch.
Sure. So students can see that they're.
But they will see, yeah, they will see it in the grades or in the assignments area, and they'll see the gradebook column. The other thing that the system does is every time you take attendance, it's going to kick out a notification to students of a grade change, because technically it is a grade change every time you use it. So you can do what they call muting the column. If you come to your grades and you go to the attendance column, you can go to the grade posting policy here, and you can tell this to be a manually posted grade, which means they won't get notifications. They won't even see it in their grade book until you come back and then post the grades. So if you want to keep attendance all semester long and then just show them at the end, or maybe you don't even want to show them, maybe they don't need to know what their current attendance grade is. But otherwise, if you leave it visible, they do get a notice every day that you take attendance. You've got a grade change. You've got a grade change.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, did I answer your question? I feel like I maybe talked around it.
No, you answered it.
Okay,
Good job.
perfect. All righty. The last internal tool I want to look at is called the appointment scheduler, and that is available from the calendar in Canvas. The calendar is a global tool that you can get to from anywhere. So you'll click on calendar in the blue global navigation menu, and then you can pick the course that you want to make appointments on. So I'm going to use my demo course here, but once I'm in the calendar, I can come up and use the add new event to create appointments. And the reason I like the built-in Canvas calendar is they don't have to go elsewhere, right? We're keeping everything inside Canvas. Students will be able to come to the calendar. They'll be able to see all the appointment slots, and then to sign up, they literally just click on one and it sends you a notice that someone signed up. They get a notice that they've signed up. It just keeps it all internal. And they're very easy to set up. So we're going to create a new event here. And I'm going to go to where it says appointment group. Now here I can select the calendar or calendars I want this to appear on. I'm just going to go with my one demo course. That's the only one I have turned on right now. If I had multiple calendars turned on over here in the squares, they would show up in this drop down and I could pick multiple classes, but I like to just kind of do it one class at a time. So it's going to be for the demo course. I'm going to give it a name. So maybe this is my office hours. Location, you could say Zoom or SGC 214 is where my office is. And then here's where you're going to tell the ranges that you're available. And then when you click divide into equal slots, it will take those ranges and break them up into whatever time limit of slot that you selected. So for example, for today, let's say my office hours are between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 12 one more just to kind of, let's go to the next month. Wednesday from 3 to 6. All right, so I've designated those ranges, and then when I hit divide into equal slots of 30 minutes,
Yeah, I
you'll
don't.
notice
Yep.
it's going to then work.
Well, not really. It's an optional video.
All right, who's talking?
I can see, but I'm so far don't see anything I don't know or want to know.
Somebody's, there we go. So then we've got our 30-minute time slots here. And then if you go, oh, whoops, from 3:30 to 4, I actually have an appointment that day, you can just come in here and remove any of those time slots that you don't want on the calendar. Then you can have students sign up according to groups they might be in a course. You can limit each time slot to a certain number of groups. I don't want you to do that. So number of students. So maybe only 2 students can sign up for a time slot, or maybe just 1 per slot if this is office hours. You can also let them see who else has signed up for a given slot if you want to. I don't know if you're doing office hours, you probably wouldn't want to check that for privacy reasons. And then you can limit the number of appointments a student can make. So depending on what the appointments are for, you may leave that unchecked if it's office hours, first come, first serve, or if you only let people have so many office hours in a given semester, I don't know, you could set that there. Then you can put some information in the details, sign up to chat in my office hours. And then once you publish this, you will see in your calendar the little time slots that are available to students. And this is all color coordinated based on the colors that you have designated for your courses. So if I was to go into my other class, that's purple, these are my purple time slots for this class, and my green ones are for the other class. So the color coordination is important in this case. You want to make sure you have colors that are different for your classes. Otherwise, it could be confusing to see which class they belong to. And then all a student has to do is come in here and click on one of those to sign up. Now, they do have to, before the appointments will populate in their calendar, there is a button over on the right-hand side that says Find Appointments. So if you decide you want to use this for scheduling, you'll want to send out an announcement that tells the students, when you go to your calendar, click on the Find Appointments button first, and then it will look for appointments in any of the classes that they're enrolled in and populate them. I don't know if that's a space-saving thing or just a syncing thing, but it has to be sort of actively clicked by them for these to show up. If you made a mistake and you need to delete them, you can just click on any one of them and you're going to go into the group details. And that will bring up all the appointments that are related to this thing. If you need to make changes to the number of students that are in here, you'll also be able to see who has signed up for which slots, if people have signed up. And then if you decide, ugh, man, I really botched this, I just need to start over, you can delete the entire group of appointments up here. Be gone. And there's no, are you sure? Right? I clicked that and it was like, done. So that's a one and done click right there. Alrighty. Yes, you could. Jonah in the chat says that it's very handy. You could use that instead of doodle poll. Definitely. Questions, comments, thoughts on the calendar and the appointment scheduler? Again, that's just right up here in the plus sign. And then you go to appointment group. Okay. I'll take your silence as consent to move on. All righty. Now we're going to get into some fun external embeddable tools. So first up, we're going to talk about Qualtrics and why you might want to use Qualtrics surveys in your course instead of building a Canvas survey or quiz. What I like about Qualtrics is the fact that you can place the quiz right on the page. The student doesn't have to click on a title and then open another window and then be presented with all the quiz stuff to get started. It literally just is right there, embedded in the page. So let's see, where did I hide my little Qualtrics guy? I think he's in this one. Oh, no. Right here, hello. So for example, in my class, I teach them about the different dashboard views. My course is just a very basic intro to online coursework. How do you use Canvas? How do you be a good online student, etc. So here where I talk about the dashboard views, then I've embedded this nice little survey that just pops up right on the page. Which one's your favorite view? And I can select card view and then click the arrow and cool, they've submitted their data. Now the limitation of this is that these are just anonymous results. You don't know which student said which kind of thing. So this is good for just getting general feelers about different situations in your class. You could ask general comprehension questions to get an idea of, is the majority of the class getting this concept or not? But it isn't going to give you specific student data on who said what when they click that button. So Qualtrics, if you are not aware, everyone has access to Qualtrics, which is a survey creation software that the school provides us. Again, I can't go into the specifics of how to use Qualtrics itself right now, but we can always do a workshop on that. Well, when I log into my little Qualtrics survey to bring this into my class, here's my dashboards view survey here. And then I can get the link to bring this into Canvas. One other thing before I show you that piece that I like about using the Qualtrics surveys instead of using something built into Canvas is that I could very easily generate a report to share with the class. So this defaults as a bar graph, which isn't super helpful when you're talking about, how many people picked a choice out of a series of choices. If you click anywhere on the graph, you can make it a nice little pie chart. So, which is a little more visually meaningful, right? So the majority of students in my class like the card view. There's a few that like with view and a couple people that like recent activity. So I could either just take a screenshot of this to share in the class at the end of the module, like, hey, look, this is what everybody thought was what they liked. Or if you come up to the dots in Qualtrics, you can actually export this image file and then you could bring it into Canvas just as a picture like you would any image in Canvas. But it's one of the reasons I like to use this instead of the surveys inside of Canvas. All right. To bring this as a nice little embed into Canvas, we do have to do a little bit of HTML jujitsu. But in my slideshow here, I am giving you the jujitsu. So, nope. To get into notes view. Here are the notes. Speaker notes. So when you get access to this slideshow, right in the bottom of the speaker notes here, this is the HTML that we're going to be using in Canvas to embed this slideshow. So this is a multi-step process. First, we actually want to start out in Canvas. So I'm going to copy this embed code here, just highlighting it and doing a Command or a Control C to copy it, right? And then we're going to go into Canvas on our page where we want the survey to appear. So I have to edit this page. And I'm going to dump the one that's currently in there so I can show you from scratch. And a little pro tip here. A lot of times you have a lot of other content. You might have pictures and other things going on, and you want to add this survey. It can be kind of confusing if you don't know anything about HTML. This little button in the bottom right corner is the HTML view. And when you click this thing, you're going to see, blah, what is all this stuff, right? Where would I even put the code that I have to put in here so that I can make my cool little survey? So what I like to do in this view is go to where I want the survey, which is right here, and I type in all capital letters so it's easy to see, put survey code here, right? So when I go back into HTML view, I can find it right there. See, much easier to find than trying to figure out what all this other stuff is. So when I put my little cheat line in there, I'm going to click and highlight that. And then I'm going to paste that code that was from the slideshow. So I'm going to just right click and say paste. And now I have my little, here's where the code is going to go. And then within the code itself, there's another capitalized cheat sheet thing. This is where you're going to paste the link to your survey. So if I go out to my survey and I grab the anonymous link, maybe. Sure, the internet has to be slow because I'm doing a workshop. There it is. I can just click copy this link. And I can come back into Canvas. And right here where it says URL here, that's where I'm going to paste it. Now we need these little quotation marks, so we don't want to get rid of those. But when I right click and paste, it's going to replace URL goes here with the web link. So my quotation marks are still in place. I've got the link to my survey. Now when I jump back into the visual view, there's my little survey hanging out as a nice little embed that I can just click right through as the student. And it's just, I found that they just look nice, right? It's right there. It's something you can use these as quick little knowledge checks that you could throw in there that students do that don't have to be tied to points, just as a nice little way to add some more engagement for students on a page, especially if you've just presented them with a lot of heavy material, like, wow, here's an information dump. Then you can do multiple questions. So you can do 3 or 4 little quiz questions just as a spot check. And then you can go and see the results on Qualtrics. Again, not specific students, but you can get a general gist of how students are doing with the content. And there's our little embeddable survey. Plus our nice LC branding. Questions, comments, thoughts on Qualtrics embeds?
I have a question, of course.
Yes.
Can you point me again where you started out to find Qualtrics?
Yes, it's if you go to the LCSE website and you just search for Qualtrics, I think
Okay.
it's under the institutional research webpage. Grace
Okay,
Anderson
thank you.
is kind of in charge of it, but that'll get you to this. And then from there, you would have to make your own survey, which that could be an hour-long workshop in and of itself. So this is
Thank
more
you.
about, hey, this is a thing you can do with Qualtrics once you learn how to use Qualtrics, which we can totally do a survey or do a survey. Surveys on the brain. We can do a workshop on Qualtrics.
Angela, so if I was to embed, because I just put in questions like in their reading, sample questions, but I've never collected information. Like I would love to do that, but once I embed it in their reading, does it, and if I copy my course for the next semester, will it work?
Yes.
Or I would
Yeah,
have to
as long as-
redo it each semester?
Well, that's a good point. Yes, because it's going to continue to accumulate responses. So if you wanted it to be specific for the term, you would want to log in, but it's super easy to duplicate a survey at Qualtrics. So if you had already built the questions, which level I have to be at, they changed the interface around, but I think duplicate, yeah, copy project. So it's very easy to copy it. Then you could label it, spring 2022. And that way you would know the data was coming from that spring class and you would have to relink it. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, but as far as the embed code would still be in that page and then you would just replace the URL. The other thing that you can do if you don't like the size of the embed, if this is too small, maybe you had multiple questions or you wanted it to be a little bit wider, is you can change the size of it. So if I go back in here and I find here's my code right here, which again, kind of hard to see, but width is 800 and height is 400. Generally speaking, when you see pixels expressed like this, the general rule of thumb is 100 pixels equals 1 inch on the screen. So that's can be a helpful way to think about how big this thing is going to be on the screen. So this is roughly 8 by 4 inches. So maybe you want it to be a little bit taller because your question is not fitting entirely in the box. You could maybe make the height 600. And now it's a little taller, a little more white space, because it might be kind of annoying to have to scroll within the embed to find all the answer choices. Any other questions on embedding Qualtrics? And you can embed those anywhere you have access to the rich content editor. So you could even put one in a discussion. If I made a new discussion, I would do this exact same thing. I would go into the HTML and I would just paste this guy, copy, paste, survey. Though I will tell you and you could do it in announcements as well, but with an announcement, they would have to go into the class to see the embed, because the announcements, when they go to the email, they're just plain text. The student could click the read this announcement in Canvas button, and then they would be able to see the survey. But yeah, you could drop an embedded little thing in a discussion board. So maybe you want to do some kind of a poll before the students actually do their discussion. Bam. Anywhere you see the content editor, you can put that in there. Alrighty. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Okay. Moving on. Excuse me. Next up is a fun one that's called Pearltrees. I learned about this one when I was taking the Canvas Certified Educator program. And this is a tool that allows you to take a series of web links that you might deliver just as text on the page and put it into Pearltrees and create these little visual tiles. So it's a little more visually engaging presentation of your content. For example, I have a unit on discussion boards and what makes a good discussion, and the students have options for how they might want to learn about this topic. So I provide them 2 web articles, 2 YouTube videos, and infographics, and they can pick, check out a couple of these resources and report back what you find. And it's just a list on the page, right? Not super visually interesting, but if I were to use an embedded Pearltree, then it looks like this. So it's this nice visual representation of that same content. And I'm able to group it by categories inside of the Pearltree, and then the students just click on the tile to go to that site. I have another example in here. This one has even more, wrong one. This one has even more resources. So this is my time management module where they explore time management tips, then they look at apps and tools that might help them. So this is a pretty long list of URLs that's not super interesting. As a student, if I saw this, I'd be like, no, whatever, just pick the first one, move on. But if I put it in as a Pearltree, it's a little more visually interesting, like a bulletin board here. So here I have the articles and videos, and then down here are the apps and tools. And for the most part, the system does a pretty good job of grabbing an image from whatever website it's going to. Sometimes it can't find a good one, so it just sort of puts this random weird little web thing. But generally speaking, it's a little bit of a teaser for students, like, oh, what's on this page? That looks kind of cool. So this is a content delivery tool. The free version is pretty basic, but it lets you do just what I did in the class. It lets me gather a bunch of links and then present them to the students. So once I have registered and signed in, I'm presented with this area where I can make, they call them pearls, but I can make new collections. So here I am gonna make a new collection of things. And let's say we're gonna make some cookies. Pick a recipe and bring it to class. Yay. Yep. So here I'm going to add this. And when I'm in here, I can customize. So if let me backtrack. So I'm in my collection. If I go to the little editing button, I can customize my tile. And again, you can see the limitations of the free account, right? I can't change the background or do anything cool with some of the other visual stuff. I can just put a different tile. And it knows that I'm doing cookies, so it's smart. It's going to bring up, hey, here's a bunch of pictures of cookies. So I'm going to put a nice little cookie tile on this, just for fun. All right. Let me go back here. We can see there's my little cookies collection. Now I can start gathering things from the internet and bringing them into this. And this is really simple to do. So when I hit plus, it'll say, what kind of stuff do you want to put in here? And I'm going to look for a web page. So I have already Googled up some recipes So here's some ginger snap recipe. I'm just gonna grab the web link out of the address bar here, drop it in, and say add. And voila, this is what the students will see when I put this cookie thing inside the class. They'll see this nice little tile. I can also, if I'm careful about it, I can highlight the web address, click and drag, and you see I've got this little plus sign going on now. If I hover over my Pearltrees tab, I can literally just drag and drop that in there. Pretty cool. So a couple of ways to add content. Easiest to go out and grab some no-bake cookie recipes, because some people they live in the dorms, they can't make cookies in the dorms, but I want them to bring cookies to class. No bake, these look amazing, right? I want to make some of those for reals. Add another one. Now I do have two different kinds of cookies in here, so I want to put some subheadings so I can organize these things. So I'm going to add this time, I'm going to add, oh no, that's not where it's at. I always forget where this one, it's in a weird spot. Here we go. So I'm editing the collection itself. So I want to go into the edit option and make a new section. So here I'm going to have baked. And I'm going to go new section, no bake. And this is a wonderful, nice little drag and drop interface. So my no bake cookies are going to get organized up here, and my baked cookies are here. So I make this beautiful little layout of cookie recipes, and then I can bring it into Canvas. And if you accidentally add something you don't want, there's a little trash can, you just drag and drop. So very easy to add content. Then I'm going to share this. This little, if you don't know this little carrot guy, that's the universal share symbol, right? We see that on our phone all the time when we share pictures out to all of our social media. So we can share, and we want the embed. This is even easier than Qualtrics because it gives you the embed code. You can decide the size of the tile board. So I only have 4 things in here. Maybe I'll just go with the small tile board. Select that, and then it automatically puts all that gobbledygook code for you. It's already highlighted and everything. All you have to do is right click and say copy. Then I'm going to jump into Canvas and make my cookie page. Is that a question, or I don't know what that noise was? All right, so this is just a standard good old plus button, add a page, right? I've added a page where I'm going to put my cookie recipes. So go into edit the page. And just like the Qualtrics embed, anywhere you have access to what they call the rich content editor, you can put a Pearltree. So you could drop one of these in a discussion board and tell the students, pick an article, and then we're going to come back and discuss. You could even technically, I think, put it in a test question, though. People leaving the test to go to other places on the web, probably not the best idea. I like it for content delivery. So I do have to go in the embed code, which is your little caret slash thing here. And then I just put the cursor and I do a command or control V or right click and paste. And there's all my stuff. I don't have to know what this means. And when I come back to the regular view, there's my nice little Pearltree embed about cookies. In the class that I took, they called these a choice board, which I thought was cool, because you can present a bunch of options for students and let them pick the ones that they are interested in pursuing. And there it is. It just goes. And I also like that it opens in a new tab, so it doesn't take them away from the class. If they click on the resource, then they are automatically directed to the site, but Canvas is still hanging out in the background. They can also go directly to it here. Questions, comments, thoughts on Pearltrees for visual interactive content delivery?
Yeah, can you just one more time? Where did
Oh,
you
that's
start
okay.
out?
I love questions.
I always get lost when, I'm following the whole thing. It's like, okay, where did we start? That's my
Yes.
first step.
So this, you have to go to the Pearltrees website. And I put this in the slideshow too. I put the web address for all of these things that we're talking about. So I'll give that to Marlo to make sure everybody can get that. It's just pearltrees.com, and then you'll be prompted to make an account. This is the, excuse me, this is the free level. So it's got some limitations, but like you get 1 gig of storage, but that's, I mean, that's a lot of storage if all you're putting in these is web links, right? It's not generating a whole lot of actual data in here. And you can
Thank
see
you.
your collections. Yeah, absolutely. They do have, you know, yeah, go professional and you can get a paid account and have all kinds of other stuff. They have a pretty neat community system too. So you'll see recommendations based on some of the questions they ask you when you make your account. So here's some stuff that I could go and look at. Excuse me. Yeah. That was a nice little. Now I did have a student in my class this semester who said they were not able to see the Pearltrees content. I did actually have Autumn check this one out with a screen reader too, to make sure it was accessible. And she said that it passed the screen reader check, but for whatever reason, I'm guessing it was a security setting on the student's end with their browser. They were not able to see the Pearltree. So that's, so I made a separate page that just listed the hyperlinks. You saw that in my example. I had two versions of the content, but generally speaking, it should display for pretty much any browser. I didn't really get into with like tech supporting her and her browser issue. I just said, okay, here's a link that's just the list of URLs. That's all she needed. So just as a cautionary piece, I think I put that in as one of the quirks. Yep. Some browsers don't display the embed. There's a little bit of a learning curve at first, but it's not terrible. And then the free account has ads that'll pop up occasionally and some limited features. All right, ooh, look at me going. I'm almost done here. Last up is Thinglink. So the URL for that is thinglink.com. This is probably my favorite, so I saved it for last. This is a tool that lets you create interactive little, I don't even know how to describe them. I just have to show you. Interactive images. This is my account once I've logged in. So again, I'm skipping some steps. You have to go to thinglink.com and create an account. And then you'll get to this level where you have your content and you can build your thing links. But what they are is it lets you take a picture, whatever you want, and then you can put placeholders all over the image. And when those are clicked, different kinds of things can happen. You can have it linked to a video that tells the person more about that. You can have it open up a picture with a definition. It can point to a Google map that they can then interact with. This is a sample that they've built on the website, just to give you an idea of what this looks like. So they just took that background picture, and then the tool allows you to add all these little markers on here with these different icons, and they give you different kinds of information. So when I click the eye, it pops up some text and a hyperlink. This probably is going to pop up a video, would be my guess. Yep. So here's a video about sharks. I don't know what this little fishy guy is. Ooh. So here's a picture plus some text plus a link. That's just a little tip that pops up like that. Oh, this one is a map. So if I click on that, it's going to load a map of the area that I can actually scroll around in. So this is a highly interactive content delivery tool. My sort of silly little example that I put in here is for my, let's say I'm doing a lesson on the Canvas dashboard. So I took a screenshot of the Canvas dashboard and then I added these little icons that give the student more information about the different things on the dashboard. So if I click this one,
the course card is the doorway into your Canvas class. Click on the course card to enter your course.
So you can record a little audio snippet that will autoplay when they click on it. This one has multiple pictures that they could click through. And then there's a link that would take them out to more information about the course card. This one is just a picture with some text. Oh, here we have something about the unpublished courses. If I click that, that's a video about dashboard publishing. This one is multiple pictures with a hyperlink, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go back to the nurses and the heart thing. Imagine putting up a diagram of something and then you could put all these little little icons that the students could click on, and it would pop up more information or definitions. And that could be something the students would revisit repeatedly as a study tool, right? It's kind of like little flashcards. But this one does have a little bit more of a learning curve, but I watched their like 11-minute how to do this tutorial, and I was off and running in 12 minutes. So here's the one that I built, but if we're gonna make a new one, I'll show you very quickly how this works. We're gonna create a new one, and what we're creating is just a standard image. I'm gonna bring a picture of the heart in, and then we're gonna bring in some pieces to attach to it. So I can click on my assets here. Let's see, here's my heart image that I want to bring in. Maybe I want the labeled heart. That's not the one I wanted. Oh, I want my labeled heart. I want this. I want the deoxygenated blood and some other little thing that I grabbed. Now we'll go with these three. You can upload all of your resources that are going to be part of your final product at once, or you can do them one at a time as you add the little tags, but I'm just going to load them all at the same time here. So here I have my labeled pieces. I can add more content if I needed to. If I'm like, oh, I forgot there's going to be a video about something. We'll get to that in a second. So here I have my little you know, that is not how I did it last time. I'm a big fat liar. I need to delete that. I just want my base picture. This guy here. This is the one I want to start with. So this is the one where we're going to place little blinky lights and cool things, and then we'll add some content to it. So I'm going to edit this. And here's where we're going to add the tags. That's where I identified the areas. And then you can look at some of the settings in here. You can change the color scheme and change the size, and you can upload audio and some other things. But for the most part, we're just going to do simple tags. So we're going to add a tag. When I click this, it's going to ask me what kind of a tag do you want? So you can do text and media. You can just do a straight label. You can add content from a website. You can make a tour. You can do a poll. That's pretty limited. I wasn't super impressed with the polling feature, but the text and media one is the one I really liked. So I'm going to click that. And then I have the option to change the icon. So if I click change the icon, you get presented with a million different little icons you can pick from. Or you can upload your own pictures. So if you had something that was relevant to the content, you wanted to add your own little icon, you could do that too. Let's see, we'll just go with a bullseye. And I'm gonna make it, let's go orange. There we go. And then here's where I'm going to start building this piece of content. So my title is going to be aorta. And it will kind of give you a preview as you build. The aorta takes blood away. Away. Little mnemonic device, right? Nurses, am I good there? Nurses in the room. Then if I wanted to put a little button for more information about the aorta, there's a button URL option. So I could go out to YouTube and say, flow of the blood in the heart. All right, that looks wonderful. We're gonna grab this video. So I'm just gonna grab the URL for this nice little flow of the blood here. Whoops, don't need to save that. Which of my many tabs? I can drop that link right there. Then they give you the option to label the button text, right? Because that's gobbledygook. So I would say, watch a video of the blood flow. Woo. And I could also put a picture on here if I wanted to. So I'll go to my computer, find a little, I don't even know if that's relevant. I'll just pick it though. Boom, there it is. So this final tile that I'm creating for this flashy point that's going to appear is going to have a picture. It's going to have a description. Ooh, I'm gonna make some audio as well. We're gonna go whole hog with this guy. So the second I hit the microphone button, it's going to start recording. So you have to be ready. It's kind of a one and done. If you don't like it, you can delete it. The aorta takes blood away from the heart. Away. Now, the aorta takes blood away from the heart. Away. When I click done, I get my little blippy, and I would want to position it wherever I wanted it to appear on the diagram, and then I can test it. The aorta takes blood away from the heart. Away. And now I've made that little interactive piece there. And I can go through and I can make as many tags and labels as I want on this whole thing. If I just want a basic label, maybe I'll click a pink one and just say, watch out for cholesterol. Oh, I don't know where that would even go in here. Sure, we'll just stick it there. And that's just a basic little text tag that pops up when they click on it. You can drop in an entire video if you wanted to. So if I had I did grab where's my little notes? Here we go. I have a video right here. Here's an entire embed code, excuse me, that I grabbed from YouTube. So I can copy that, drop it in there, and change the icon to something else. Question mark. Sure, why not? There's my embed. When I hit done, then I can move the question mark wherever. And then when the students click on that, then it loads this nice little YouTube video that I can watch more about the blood flow through the heart. Are the wheels spinning? This is super cool. Like now, I will say, unfortunately, with the free limited account, you can't, they actually have an option when you pay where you can have, like your students can have accounts and they can make content. It's all this big interactive tied in thing. But realistically, you could just have the students make their own free account, and you could have the students use this tool to make content and show you what they know about the blood flow through the heart or whatever. Once I'm done, so this is a two-way street. I love this thing because I could make something to deliver content to my students, and I could use this as a mechanism for students to show me what they learned. Obviously, you would want to have a practice where they could learn this tool. Same thing with Pearltrees. Or what was the other one, that Student Annotations? That's a good one to make sure you have a practice assignment so they can learn how to use the tools before they're doing it for grading. We're at the 1 o'clock mark. I'm almost done, but if you have to go, it's okay. We're recording. Hitting done. So now I have my cool interactive thing that I want to bring into Canvas. So I'm going to click our good friend share. And here it's going to give me that wonderful embed code that we know and love. So I can copy that. I can come back over into my class. Here's one that I've already embedded, but it's super easy to do another one. Anywhere you see the rich content editor. So again, I could use this as a discussion board launcher. I could drop it into discussion with the little icons and have students talk about whatever it is. Or it could be a piece on a page. This is another one of those ones where if you've got a whole bunch of text and images and other content already on the page, the little pro tip of typing in, put the stuff here all in caps is very helpful so that you can find it when you go into the code view. So put the heart here. Then I just paste my embed code. And now I have my snazzy little interactive heart right on the page. It even looks like it's beating, right? Students can just click on the content and the aorta takes blood away from the heart. Away. And there they all are, fully interactive. Students can also go out to the website to view the content as well. Okay, we're 1 minute over the clock. Questions, comments, thoughts on Thinglink is what that one is called. Oop. Oh, the other downer on the free account was there are a limited number of views per thing. I don't know how that works, if it's embedded in the course though, if it still registers those, or if you would have to go out, but I think it's 1,000 clicks or views. So I would have to experiment a little more, but I remember thinking that the paid view or the paid version wasn't horribly expensive. All right. My time is up. I'm happy to hang out, but if people have to go, I understand.
Thank you, Angela. You sure did pack a lot of stuff into this hour.
That's
I learned
good to
so
record
much
this
about
one.
school. Yeah.
Definitely good to record this one.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think the best way to go if people are interested in these, if we send out the information or the slideshow, maybe with a poll of like, would you like to know more about one of those tools? Then we can set up something for spring. Thanks
Yeah,
for coming,
so
everyone. Bye.
So please do let me or Angela know if there's one you would like another session on.
It was a
Thank
lot.
you.